Hey everyone! So, as we're just about halfway to Halloween, and also, I have a much clearer idea of my costume based on another recent announcement I'll be eager to address this week. Thought I would at least get the ball rolling with festivities, and even though it's not my initial plan, thought just anyway. So, here I will just talk about some I recently watched, or rather rewatched, that's very strange. I didn't hate it like some people did, but even I will admit it's a bizarre horror kind of film. So let's talk about the 2019 DTV film Scooby-Doo Return to Zombie Island. Hmm. The movie is something of a direct sequel the the 1998 DTV film, while also being something of a way to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the entire franchise at that point. Which, given the tonal clashing there, goes about as well as you would expect. Personally, a I mean, before I get too into just how this fares, I'd like to point out there are things I do kind of like about it. I mean, the voice acting is definitely quite solid. I mean, Frank Walker is as as great as ever as both Fred and Scooby. We have actually some pretty okay animation. Not the best ever, but definitely not the worst I've ever seen. I mean, does a job. And also, it's one of the ones where Elvira makes a guest appearance that functionally kicks the whole plot off into motion. Now, let's start unpacking everything else. Admittedly, this is a movie that's kind of all over the place in terms of tone and presentation. They've turned the former her her bayou mansion into like a tourist trap, and they kind of have acknowledged that the previous movie's events happened, but also try to juxtapose that with the usual more trappings of the archetypal Scooby-Doo hoax. I don't mean just like some guy in Washington trying to dismiss anything they don't like. I mean actual hoax. I mean people in Halloween masks, check. Heck, people doing it because of some um get rich quick scheme orchestrated by Conman, yup. Said scheme involving the land and that the mansion is on. Oh yeah. I mean, it's definitely is one that's quite bizarre, and none of the crew who worked on the original film were involved with this one, and let's be honest, you can really tell. Apparently, part of the rationale to suggest that the story was a hoax this time around rather than being an incarnation of the paranormal threats are real. He'll he'll apparently was doing some mandate at the time. I'm on the grounds that such aspects were damaging the brand. I would argue it's not that the aspects were there, but how you use them that would impact things more. But as I pointed before, that kind of line of thinking, nuance often lost on the executive class. I'm not saying it's impossible to do like a DTV film that follows up a previous installment of the franchise. I mean, just before this one, the previous year even, Scooby Doo and the Curse of 13 Ghosts managed to serve as the chronological series finale to that show, since they never found the last ghost thereafter. Didn't even resolve other plot threads as they were left hanging from there. I mean, even and having Maurice LaMarche Hirsch in the Vincent Price role after his passing, given how LaMarche used a lot of his vocal performances is to build his own career. But this one, I kind of boggle at how this happens, where they're essentially trying to mash up the usual whole con artists in Halloween costumes with the paranormal threats, and the clash in tone goes about as well as you'd expect. And also the cat deity, that was key to the story of both films, is also used here, and they seem to drop a hint that the deity is still out there, and there might be a third one, which brings me to a twofold way to deal with this one's issues and to chart path forward for said film. The first would be to make it so the perpetrators of this movie were doing a copycat crime. Like, they found out about the incident and from the original Zombie Island film, and they wanted to try and recreate said incident, which they kind of hint at here, especially in regards to making a film about it for profit, but they don't fully commit to it. Admittedly, not a bad premise. I mean, in the age of so many influencers, admittedly, they try to who do things that would ruin someone's life solely for clout. And on that subject, that I would still have some humor in that potential third film, but I would definitely lean into the supernatural aspects, especially a dark, like humorous take. Think of the cult classic Return of the Living Dead, as well as the some things that spoofed it, like say like the Regular Show episode where they hold a movie night in the cemetery, but because of the bespoke film projector they used, end up infinitely raising the dead and having to stop them. It'd be a similar kind of incident, and where through a mixture of carelessness and profit-driven hubris, there'd be raising the dead for real, and my proposed title would be Scooby-Doo, Who Curses Zombie Island. And anyway, it seems now that the current management seem to be loosened up a bit about how the usage of paranormal aspects in the franchise again. What with the 2020 Scoob film, basically using like the Cerberus skulls, as like their Infinity Stones and Mother Boxes or portals to the underworld, and one I'm low-key excited for, the upcoming Go-Go Mystery Machine, where the Scooby Gangs are going to Japan and going after a bunch of legendary Japanese myths and yokai. Especially liking how not only they're going to be handling Fred, Daphne, and Velma, but also how some Japanese fans will also be helping them as well. Like, I keep saying it's not that you are using these elements, but how you use them. Anyway, that'll be all for now, and I will see you very soon with my post-mortem of multiverses. So, take care, everyone.